Mickey Rooney was not only a legendary actor, he was also a father of 9. Over the course of his 8 marriages, he welcomed a brood of children, each with their own journey shaped by their father's fame and flaws. From Mouseketeers to military veterans, from choreographers to voice actors, Rooney's offspring lived vastly different lives. In this video, we'll explore each child's story in detail. Their relationship with Mickey, their life paths and careers, any public presence or controversies, personal challenges they faced, and where they are now. Along the way, we'll also delve into the unique challenges of growing up Rooney, the family chaos, financial woes, and abuse allegations that loomed over their upbringing. So settle in for a true Hollywood family tale, equal parts heartbreaking and inspiring, about Mickey Rooney's children. Number 9. Mickey Rooney Jr. Mickey Rooney Jr. was the eldest son, born in 1945, to Mickey's second wife, singer Betty Jane Race, stage name B.J. Baker. As a boy, Mickey Jr. briefly tasted the limelight alongside his famous dad. In 1955, Walt Disney hired the tall, talented 10-year-old and his younger brother Tim as original Mouseketeers on the Mickey Mouse Club. But the Rooney boys' Disney stint was short-lived. They were fired for conduct unbecoming a Mouseketeer after some mischievous pranks in the studio's paint department. Mickey Jr.'s showbiz career would be a roller coaster from then on. In the 1960s, Mickey Rooney Jr. pursued music, recording pop songs like The Wandering Wind and even performing on the TV music show Shindig. He proved himself a multi-instrumentalist, guitar, keyboard, bass, drums, harmonica, and even played with country legend Willie Nelson at one point. Acting-wise, he snagged small roles in films such as Hot Rods to Hell, 1967, and Beyond the Bermuda Triangle, 1975, and he helped score a film soundtrack. But despite flashes of talent, Mickey Jr. struggled to find stable success. Trouble shadowed Mickey Jr. in his young adulthood. He battled substance abuse and the pressures of living under Mickey Rooney's huge shadow. By the 1970s, his personal life was turbulent. He married Playboy playmate Mercy Montello in 1972, but the union didn't last. A second marriage to Laura Hollander in 1986 brought more stability. They remained together until her death in 2006. In time, Mickey Rooney Jr. found redemption away from Hollywood's glare. He became a born-again Christian and even founded an evangelical ministry, using faith to turn his life around. Those who knew him say he had a generous spirit, but was the personification of damaged goods, a kind soul marked by the scars of a chaotic upbringing. In later years, Mickey Jr. lived quietly in Arizona, cared for by his longtime companion, Chrissy Brown. According to family friend Paul Peterson, Mickey Jr. gave all he could, but carried a lot of pain from his youth. On July 16, 2022, Mickey Rooney Jr. passed away at age 77, peacefully at home. The exact cause was not disclosed, but his passing marked the end of a complex life. Number 8. Tim Rooney, Timothy Tim. Rooney was Mickey's second son, born in 1947, also to B.J. Baker. Tim had the classic looks and charm of a 1960s teen actor, and for a time, it seemed he might follow in his father's formidable footsteps. As a boy, Tim and big brother Mickey Jr. performed alongside their dad in a few projects. In fact, in 1964-65, Tim co-starred with Mickey Sr. on the sitcom Mickey, playing appropriately the on-screen son. He also popped up on popular TV series of the era, Maverick, Dr. Kildare, Bewitched, Dragnet, and more. For a moment, it looked like Tim might carve out an acting niche of his own, but Tim Rooney's star never rose as high as his father's. He found modest success with roles in films like Village of the Giants, 1965, and Riot on Sunset Strip, 1967, and even did some voice acting for the Mr. D. T cartoon in the 1980s. By the 1970s, however, Tim's acting career had faded. Unlike Mickey Jr., Tim largely stayed out of tabloids and serious trouble. He lived a quieter life in California. He married and later divorced, and he did not remain in the public eye as the decades went on. Tragically, Tim Rooney's life was cut short by illness. In later years, he developed a rare muscle disease, dermatomyositis, which severely weakened his body. Complications from this illness led to pneumonia, and Tim passed away in September 2006 at just 59 years old. His death came 8 years before his father's, meaning Mickey Sr. had to endure the pain of losing a son. Tim Rooney was remembered as a kind man with a warm smile, someone who loved acting but eventually accepted a life away from stardom. Number 7. Teddy Rooney. The third of Mickey's sons, Teddy Rooney, arrived in 1950. He was born to actress Martha Vickers, Mickey's third wife. With showbiz in his blood, Teddy made his acting debut as a child, appearing alongside his father in Andy Hardy Comes Home, 1958, when he was just about 8 years old. He even acted in a 1957 episode of Playhouse 90 with his mother Martha, showing that both sides of his family had talent. Throughout the late 50s and early 60s, little Teddy popped up in movies like It Happened to Jane, 1959, with Doris Day, and on TV programs such as Wagon Train, The Rifleman, Lassie, and General Electric Theater. For a while, it looked like Teddy Rooney might carry the family acting torch. But as the 1960s progressed, Teddy chose a different path. He stepped away from Hollywood while still in his teens, shifting his focus to music. Teddy was a talented bass player and singer. In fact, in the mid-1960s, he joined forces with his half-brothers, Mickey Jr. and Tim, to form a rock band called the Rooney Brothers, signing with Columbia Records. He later played in a garage rock group, the Yellow Pages. Music, not acting, became Teddy's true passion. Amid the cultural upheaval of the late 60s, Teddy also served in the Vietnam War, putting his entertainment career on hold to join the military. A twist that likely would have made his patriotic father proud. After the war, Teddy Rooney lived a largely ordinary life, far from the red carpets of his childhood. He got married to Carol Rooney and became a father to 2 children, Shannon and Dominique. In later interviews, his sisters noted that Teddy was a gentle soul who found contentment outside of Hollywood. Sadly, in the 2000s, Teddy's health began to fail. He suffered a long illness in his mid-60s, the details of which were kept private. On July 2, 2016, Teddy Rooney died at the age of 66 in a Southern California convalescent home. His sister Kelly confirmed to the press that he passed after a prolonged sickness. Teddy's passing marked the third loss of Mickey's children, after Tim and Mickey Jr. Though Teddy left Hollywood behind early, he still carried the Rooney legacy in his own way, through music, service to his country, and family. Number 6. Kelly Ann Rooney, born in 1959, is Mickey Rooney's oldest daughter. Her mother was Barbara Ann Thomason, a model actress Mickey married in 1958. Ann Kelly was the first of 4 children from that union. As a toddler, Kelly experienced life in the Hollywood fast lane. Her father was still a major star, and reporters snapped photos of Mickey cradling newborn Kelly at the hospital in 1959. But Kelly's childhood took a devastating turn in 1966. When Kelly was just 7 years old, her mother, Barbara, was tragically murdered, shot by a disturbed acquaintance, actor Milos, who then took his own life. The horrific murder-suicide left Kelly and her 3 younger siblings without their mom, shattering their world in an instant. "Losing her put a real hole in our hearts," Kelly later said of her mother's death. In the aftermath, Mickey Rooney was racked with guilt and grief. He declared Barbara the great love of his life and would blow kisses to the sky in her memory during performances. Kelly recalls her father once tearfully apologizing to her in the early 90s, saying, "I'm so sorry I couldn't save her." This shared grief forged a very close bond between Kelly and her dad. As the oldest, Kelly helped look after her little siblings, Carrie, Michael, and Kimmy, after they all went to live with their maternal grandparents for a time. Despite Mickey's chaotic life, Kelly cherished him and remained loyal to her father through thick and thin. Kelly Rooney largely stayed out of acting, instead building a normal life and career. She became a skilled hairstylist, a trade she has practiced for over 40 years. She married and had children of her own, making Mickey a grandfather. But Kelly did not entirely avoid the spotlight. In Mickey's later years, she emerged as one of his fiercest defenders and advocates. For example, when an explosive gossip book in 2021 accused Mickey Rooney of pervasive casting couch behavior, and claimed his nice guy image was a front, Kelly was outraged. "It's disgusting to me," she told Fox News, defending her dad's legacy. She acknowledged Mickey was no saint, but vehemently disputed sordid tales that couldn't be answered by her late father. Kelly felt it was unfair to tear people down, especially those who are not here to defend themselves. Her loyalty to her father's memory is palpable. Perhaps most significantly, Kelly became an advocate against elder abuse, inspired by her own family's painful experiences. In Mickey's final years, he suffered exploitation at the hands of a stepson, Jan Rooney's son, Christopher, an ordeal that saw Mickey testify before Congress in 2011 about the abuse and financial mismanagement he endured. Kelly and her siblings were heartbroken watching their aging father be mistreated by secondary family members in his household. After Mickey's death in 2014, Kelly joined forces with activists like Carrie Kasem, daughter of Casey Kasem, to push for laws protecting elders and visitation rights. She now serves on the board of the Kasem Cares Foundation, speaking out so that no other family suffers as theirs did. Today, Kelly and Rooney is in her mid-60s and lives a relatively private life in California, but she continues to honor Mickey's legacy. Number 5. Carrie Rooney, Carrie Ewell. Rooney, born around 1960, is the second daughter of Mickey and Barbara Thomason. Just a toddler when her mother was killed, Carrie grew up under the care of grandparents alongside Kelly and the other Thomason children. While Kelly was 7 at the time of the tragedy, Carrie was only about 5, old enough to feel the loss, but too young to fully understand it. The Rooney household's turmoil in the 1960s left deep impressions on Carrie, as it did on all Barbara's children. They experienced not only the violent loss of their mom, but also their father's remarriages and financial instability in the years that followed. Unlike her sister, Carrie Rooney chose an extremely private path. She eschewed the limelight, and very little about her life made it into public media. What we do know is that Carrie spent her youth mostly outside Hollywood, focusing on normal pursuits. In the 1970s, as a young woman, Carrie had a taste of the entertainment world on her own terms. She was reportedly a cheerleader for an NFL football team in her early 20s. Sources have linked her to the Oakland Raiders squad at one point. Those who know her say Carrie also cultivated a strong faith and found solace in a more traditional life, away from the craziness that surrounded her dad. Though Carrie stayed out of show business, she did not entirely avoid discussing her family's legacy. In interviews for a Rooney biography, Carrie opened up about Mickey's personal struggles. She revealed that her father suffered from bipolar disorder and had wild mood swings from hypergrandiosity to deep bouts of bitter depression, kept in check only by lithium medication. It's a poignant insight, showing how Mickey's children witnessed the extreme highs and lows of his personality at home, a side of him the public rarely saw. Carrie's willingness to speak on that topic hints at the challenges she faced dealing with a mercurial parent. Despite any past difficulties, Carrie remained devoted to Mickey. She, along with Kelly, was deeply invested in her father's well-being late in his life. In fact, when Mickey's controversial will, leaving his scant estate to a stepson, came to light, Carrie was among the Rooney kids who felt something was very wrong. While Kelly and their half-sister Kimmy took the lead in contesting the will legally, Carrie supported the push to ensure Mickey's final wishes were truly honored. A family friend noted that all the Rooney children, Carrie included, agreed Mickey's money shouldn't be going to the stepson and that they were furious at how things turned out. Today, Carrie Rooney, now Carrie Rooney Mack, reflecting a married name, lives a quiet life, far from TMZ headlines. She is a mother and possibly a grandmother. Every so often, she has appeared at church events or on religious programs to share her testimony of overcoming the obstacles of her upbringing. Number 4. Michael Rooney, Michael Joseph. Rooney, born in 1962, is Mickey Rooney's youngest son and arguably the most professionally accomplished of the children. Michael is the only son of Mickey and Barbara Thomas and born after their reconciliation. He was just 3 when his mother was killed in 1966. After Barbara's death, Michael and his sisters, Kelly, Carrie, and little Kimmy, were raised by their maternal grandparents. Growing up, Michael had minimal contact with his famous father and his youth. In fact, he didn't even learn the full truth of his mother's murder until he was a teenager, when his grandmother gently explained it to him. From a distance, Mickey Sr. tried to convey to Michael that his mom was one of the most wonderful ladies he'd ever known. It was a difficult childhood, but Michael found an outlet that would eventually connect him back to his dad, dance. As a shy high schooler, Michael Rooney discovered a passion for dancing after landing a part in West Side Story at school. He dove into dance training with determination. When Mickey found out about Michael's interest, the veteran entertainer gave his son a bit of advice, telling him, "I can open the door, but you have to walk through it," and walk through what Michael did. In the 1980s, he snagged his first professional dancing gigs, including on TV's Fame, and even in big movies like Grease 2 and Staying Alive. Audiences probably had no idea the nimble dancer in those projects was Mickey Rooney's kid, and Michael was fine with that. He was busy making a name for himself on his own merit. By the 1990s, Michael Rooney reinvented himself as one of the industry's top choreographers. He became especially known for choreographing music videos and racked up an astonishing 5 MTV Video Music Awards for Best Choreography. 2 of those Moon Men came from his work on unforgettable 1990s videos, Björk's quirky It's Oh So Quiet, and Fatboy Slim's iconic Praise You dance video. Yes, the flash mob-style dance in Praise You was Michael's brainchild. He also choreographed Fatboy Slim's famous weapon-wielding dance in Weapon of Choice, as well as music video moves for Michael Jackson, You Rock My World, Kylie Minogue, Can't Get You Out of My Head, Fiona Apple, Paper Bag, My Chemical Romance, Helena, Bon Jovi, Say It Isn't So, and many more. In film, Michael Rooney created the joyful dance sequence in the hit movie 500 Days of Summer 2009, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's even choreographed for TV shows like Dancing with the Stars and contributed to Broadway-style tours. In short, Michael stepped out of Mickey Rooney's shadow and became a behind-the-scenes star of choreography. Now in his early 60s, Michael Rooney is the last surviving son of Mickey Rooney since his 3 older half-brothers have passed away. He continues to work in the entertainment industry, recently choreographing scenes in films like Dora and The Lost City of Gold 2019, and staging performances for pop stars. Despite his limited early relationship with Mickey, father and son did develop respect for each other later on. Mickey was reportedly proud of Michael's achievements and attended some of his events. Fittingly, Michael's career celebrates the kind of showbiz razzle-dazzle that Mickey Rooney himself loved, but from a fresh, modern angle. Number 3. Kimmy Sue Rooney. Born in 1963, is the youngest of Mickey and Barbara's 4 children. She was just a toddler, only 2 years old when her mother was killed in early 1966. Too little to remember. Her mom, Kimmy, grew up in the care of her grandmother and older siblings. In the Rooney-Thomason brood, Kimmy was the baby, doted on by big sisters Kelly and Carrie, and big brother Michael, all of whom tried to shield her from the chaos of their father's life. As Mickey's career had ups and downs in the 70s and 80s, Kimmy remained mostly shielded from public view, living a relatively normal childhood given the circumstances. Out of all Mickey Rooney's biological children, rumor has it that Kimmy Sue was especially close to her father in his later years. Mickey certainly had a soft spot for his little one, and as an adult, Kimmy reciprocated with loyalty. She never sought the spotlight or a Hollywood career. There are no acting or entertainment credits to her name. Instead, Kimmy's life path was about family. She married, becoming Kimmy's Sue Baker, and dedicated herself to raising her own children in a stable environment far from the tabloid glare. Those who know her describe Kimmy as warm, down-to-earth, and intensely private, the polar opposite of her extroverted father. However, Kimmy could make headlines when family honor was at stake. In 2014, after Mickey Rooney's death, it emerged that Mickey's last will and testament had disinherited all 8 surviving children and his estranged wife, leaving his meager estate only around $18,000, entirely to a stepson, Mark. This shocking decision did not sit well with the Rooney kids. Kimmy Sue and Kellyanne took the lead in challenging the will, questioning whether Mickey had been of sound mind or under undue influence when he signed it. A source close to the family said, Kimmy Sue especially feels hard done by. She was the only biological child that Mickey was close to, so she's furious to be cut out for a stepson who's only been on the scene a few years. That quote reveals just how hurt Kimmy was, not because of money, but because of the principle and perceived betrayal by those managing Mickey's affairs. It also implies that Kimmy, as the child Mickey stayed close with, felt protective of her father's legacy. The will dispute got settled without a full court battle since the estate was small, but it showed Kimmy stepping up publicly to defend her dad one last time. Today, Kimmy Sue Rooney is in her early 60s. She lives a life completely out of the limelight, so much so that casual fans of Mickey Rooney might not even know she exists, and that's likely how Kimmy prefers it. She witnessed more than enough drama in her early years. By all accounts, Kimmy succeeded in creating a loving, ordinary family life for herself. She occasionally keeps in touch with some of her half-siblings. Family gatherings happen quietly, but she's never given tell-all interviews or written memoirs. In the narrative of Mickey Rooney's children, Kimmy is the quiet heart, a woman who survived unthinkable childhood tragedy and chose to pursue peace and normalcy. Number 2, Jimmy Rooney. He was Mickey Rooney's child, not by blood, but by heart. Jimmy was born in 1966, named James, and originally carrying the last name of his biological father from his mother's previous marriage. When Mickey married wife number 7, Carolyn Hockett, in 1969, he adopted Carolyn's young son, Jimmy, as his own. Mickey embraced the boy, giving him the Rooney surname and treating him as one of the clan. Just a year later, Mickey and Carolyn had a daughter together, Janelle, making Jimmy an adopted older brother. As a little kid, Jimmy Rooney got to enjoy a few years of being Mickey's son during the early 1970s, including a stint living in London when Mickey was performing in a West End show. There's a charming 1974 photo of Mickey at Heathrow Airport with 7-year-old Jimmy and 4-year-old Janelle in tow, the family smiling together. However, Mickey and Carolyn divorced in 1975 when Jimmy was about 9. After that, Jimmy's day-to-day life moved away from Mickey's. Carolyn took her children, Jimmy and Janelle, to live a more settled life in the Midwest. For Jimmy, though, the magic of being Mickey Rooney's son had left its mark. As he grew up, Jimmy developed a fascination with entertainment, not acting per se, But voices? He discovered he had a remarkable talent for voice acting and impersonations. Blessed with a flexible voice, and perhaps inspired by hearing his dad's stories of cartoon voice work, Jimmy honed an ability to mimic countless characters. Over the years, Jimmy Rooney, who sometimes uses the name Jim or James Rooney, and occasionally his birth name William Corona, built a niche career performing at conventions, on stage, and in recordings as a voiceover artist. By his own proud account, Jimmy Rooney can perform over 400 different voices from classic movie stars to beloved animated characters. He even did a Las Vegas stage act, billed as The Many Voices of Jimmy Rooney, entertaining audiences with rapid-fire impressions. Fans on the Comic-Con and nostalgia circuit might have encountered him at events like Power Morphicon in 2016, where he shared memories of visiting the MGM lot as a kid and watching his dad work. Jimmy's repertoire reportedly includes spot-on imitations of Mickey Mouse, Goofy, and other Disney characters. A fitting tribute considering his adoptive dad had himself been a Disney Mouseketeer mentor decades earlier. In addition to live shows, Jimmy's voice has been used in various cartoons and projects, sometimes under the name William M. Corona. His profile on a voice acting platform boasts that he can do any movie star, any animated voice, almost any dialect, and that he's voiced hundreds of characters across different countries. There's a bit of showman's bravado in Jimmy's claims. Clearly, the Rooney flair for performance lives on in him. In personal life, Jimmy Rooney is a friendly, jovial figure. Now, in his late 50s, he resides in the Las Vegas area, which suits his love for live entertainment. He has been known to collaborate with impersonator troupes and even fronted a doo-wop singing group for fun. Jimmy has said that carrying Mickey's last name is an honor he doesn't take lightly. He affectionately recalls Mickey teaching him how to do voices for fun when he was little, and that spark ignited his whole career. Unlike some of the other Rooney kids, Jimmy didn't involve himself much in the family's legal disputes or Hollywood controversies. He was a bit of an outsider to the drama, being adopted, and having spent many formative years apart. Nonetheless, when Mickey passed in 2014, Jimmy was there with his siblings paying respects, and he occasionally pops up to celebrate his father's legacy in interviews or on social media. Number 1. Jonelle Rooney. Jonelle Rooney is Mickey's youngest child, born January 11, 1970. She is the only biological child from Mickey's marriage to Carolyn Hockett, Jimmy's younger half-sister. If Mickey's other kids grew up adjacent to Hollywood, Jonelle grew up largely after Mickey's golden era and apart from his daily life post-divorce. As a little girl in the early 70s, Jonelle occasionally experienced her dad's showbiz world. One adorable photo shows Mickey playing on a Malibu beach in 1965 with a cluster of his kids, though Jonelle wasn't born yet at that time. It illustrates the family vibe. By the time Jonelle was a preschooler, Mickey and Carolyn had split, and Jonelle was primarily raised by her mother in Florida. She thus had a very different upbringing from her older siblings, away from the Hollywood fishbowl. Jonelle Rooney kept an extremely low profile for most of her life. For years, even dedicated fans did not hear much about her. She did not pursue a high-profile acting career or grant interviews about being Mickey Rooney's daughter. However, Jonelle wasn't entirely removed from creative endeavors. In the late 1990s, she made a quiet foray into the entertainment industry. Jonelle appeared in a series of TV commercials for the Garden State Life Insurance Company around 1999. It was a humble start. One ad amusingly featured Jonelle scrubbing dishes in a kitchen sink, but it marked her professional debut on screen. Following that, Jonelle lent her voice to children's educational theater. Notably, she collaborated with Rainbow Puppet Productions, a Virginia-based troupe known for musicals featuring celebrity voice cameos. In their kids' show, Pirate Party, Jonelle provided the recorded voices for characters like Mother Goose and the Master Toy Maker. Interestingly, Pirate Party was a production. Her father, Mickey Rooney, and stepmother John had also contributed to. Mickey voiced Captain Mick, and Jan voiced a parrot in the same show. So, in a roundabout way, Jonelle ended up working on a project alongside her dad, albeit virtually, bringing the Rooney family creative legacy full circle. Beyond these niche projects, Jonelle also explored stage acting. She reportedly studied theater at the University of Pennsylvania and performed in community and regional theater productions, including shows like The Will Rogers Follies and A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. It seems theater was a passion, though she never became a widely known actress. There was even mention that Jonelle understudied a role in a touring play that her father once starred in, a nod to The Wizard of Oz, or another classic, suggesting she was drawn to the same classic showbiz material that made Mickey famous. However, many of these details are sketchily documented and sometimes conflated with Mickey's own achievements by enthusiastic bloggers. The truth is, Jonelle Rooney intentionally stayed out of the spotlight. She did not seek fame, and as an adult, she vanished into private life. When Mickey Rooney Jr. died in 2022, an article noted that most of Jonelle's fans are concerned about her whereabouts, as no details about her current location have been provided. In other words, Jonelle has effectively disappeared from public view, so much so that even fan sites don't know where she lives or what she's doing. Now, 55 years old, Jonelle likely lives under a married name in some quiet corner of the country.